All right. My name's Logan Moore, and I'm starting an acquisition fund where I'm planning to acquire over $1 billion in assets by 2037. This is the start. This is the beginning. And you're probably going to be able to tell from this video, I'm not very well versed on just speaking straight into a camera. It's a learning experience, but I'm going to just use social media and the tools we have available in the modern age to be able to document the process and hopefully inspire some people to take action on some of their own ideas. So this is a pretty big goal. $1 billion is a lot of money. At least most of us would think, right? But the best way I can help people understand that $1 billion isn't a lot of money is if you want to make $100,000, help somebody make a million. If you want to make $1 billion, help people make a trillion or multiple people. I don't know. Maybe I'm kind of rambling, but essentially, yes, I am trying to acquire $1 billion in assets. Now, how am I going to do this? Well, the most expensive assets in the world would have to be real estate and businesses. Those are really the only two true assets, anyways. Yes, there are gold, oil, and commodities, but I look at those more so as resources that can be used to build and amplify assets. So, a billion assets by 2037. How are we going to accomplish this? Well, there's $2 trillion opportunities that are currently underway in the decade that we are in. Currently, right now, it's August 28th, 2024, and the first big opportunity that's happening right now is within real estate, specifically commercial real estate. Now, I'm sure everybody remembers during COVID how everybody had to work from home, and there was a ton of office buildings that were just completely left vacant. Not only this, you had interest rates drop to rates below anything we've seen in decades, and so you had many investors look to be able to utilize those interest rates to acquire property. Now, the thing is with commercial real estate is it's looked at very differently than houses on the market. A house's value is going to be determined by what comparable houses around it are selling for. Houses built in the same year, houses with similar square footage, versus a multifamily commercial real estate building. That's going to be looked at more so as how much cash flow is it bringing in, how much revenue is it producing. It's looked at specifically as a business, and that is what loans are based off of to be able to acquire those properties. So when interest rates were super low, this means that people's monthly payments are also very low for the relative amount of money that they are borrowing, right? Now, the problem is we had interest rates hike up drastically, reaching 7, 8%, highest we've seen in 25 years in the last couple of years. And so what essentially happened is you have people who have gone out, gotten loans at super low rates, but some of these loans, they're set to expire in 3, 5 years, 10 years, and they're going to have to refinance their debt. Now, when they originally got this debt, let's say 3, 5 years ago in 2020, they had their debt at a super low amount. So they were able to qualify and buy real estate, again, based on whether or not it would cash flow. Is it producing money based on the amount of payments I'm making for the debt on the real estate? Now, when interest rates are low, the cash flow is going to be high. But when interest rates rise, your monthly payment is going to rise, which means the cash flow is going to lower. The profit that the property produces is going to be lower. Simple concept. Well, the problem is now it is essentially impossible to qualify for loans to buy certain properties that would have been easily accessible just 3 years ago. So, given the fact that people can no longer qualify for loans, you have to get creative on how you actually buy property. Now, one of the most commonly used creative methods to buy property is something called creative financing. Creative financing is essentially where you create a mortgage for a property with the seller, the owner of the property, rather than the bank. And when you're able to do this, you don't need to qualify for your debt to income ratio. You're not worried about that anyways for commercial real estate. But when you set up a mortgage with a seller, you're able to negotiate the interest rate, the amount, the payments, the term, and you're able to buy property and you're able to make payments on the property in a standpoint that still allows you to make money, still allows you to deal with cash flow, and it doesn't have to be at the mercy of what banks tell you. I need this interest rate, no negotiations. So currently, there's about $2 trillion worth of commercial loans that are due to expire over the next 18 months. That is a lot of real estate, a lot. Essentially, what's going to happen is, some of these properties, they will end up getting sold, especially if they're owned free and clear. They'll be able to be creative financed out to investors who can, pick them up and make them utilize. But some of these properties are going to go straight back to the bank. And when this happens, there's going to be a flood of inventory on the market. That is going to lower the price and the cost of the real estate, and it's going to create a massive opportunity to be able to buy real estate, if people are over leveraged or have taken on debt that they can no longer refinance. So just to summarize, first opportunity, commercial real estate. Massive opportunity to buy real estate at a discount because people are no longer able to refinance their debt. And there's $2 trillion worth of debt that is going to go on market. When that happens, when the banks need to sell this property, it is going to be offered at prices we will likely never see again for the rest of our lifetime. So this is a quite literal once in a generation opportunity to be able to become wealthy. You just need to get creative on how you actually get the capital to make the purchase. But $2 trillion in debt, refinance. That's the first opportunity. The second opportunity has to do with baby boomers. 40% of the 30 million small to medium-sized businesses in America, they're owned by baby boomers. What's happening with baby boomers right now? They're getting kind of old, right? They're getting ready to retire, and they're not wanting to be as hands-on in the business. Many of them are going to have to shut down their business, and that's not free to do. There are costs associated with it. There's a hassle to it. You have to sell equipment. You have to sell property. You have to take care of your employees. You don't want to just leave them in the wind. So there's a whole process to shutting down a business on top of the emotional factor that most of these people who own these businesses, that business is like their baby. Some of these people built this from the ground, and they don't want to just see it die because they can no longer work the business. So this presents another amazing opportunity. There's even more money involved with this. I believe the number is upwards of $10 trillion worth of small, medium-sized businesses that are owned by baby boomers. And many of these people also are in the predicament where they either don't have children to inherit the business or their children don't want the business and they're just planning to sell it anyways. So there's a huge opportunity to be able to partner with these people. You can get training from these people. People who have decades of experience will gladly show somebody who they believe is competent, trustworthy, and has the capability to take their business to the next level. They will gladly train you and share their expertise to help you be able to take over their business and grow it past what they've done themselves. So first opportunity is real estate. Second opportunity is businesses. Now, the biggest factor with these two vehicles is capital. Investments are always going to have different pros and cons, right? Stocks, crypto, it's very low entry. You can enter with as low as a few bucks, but it's very high risk. You can lose that money almost instantly. When it comes to commercial real estate, when it comes to buying a business, especially stuff that already cash flows, it's very low risk, but it is usually a very high entry that is saved for venture capital firms, investment funds, some of the biggest institutions in the world, or some of the most wealthy individuals in the nation. So how do we take a part of this? How do we take advantage of this? Well, you may remember something from 2021 having to do with pictures of monkeys selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yes, I'm talking about NFTs. NFTs is a part of the third stage of the internet called Web3. You see, if you look at the first two stages of the internet, the first stage is focused on information, people being able to access websites, find data, compile information on spreadsheets. It just makes automating businesses and keeping track of records, dispersing information much easier. So the first stage of the internet had to do with information. The second stage had to do with communication, being able to send messages, being able to create social media, share video, share audio, connect people. But the third stage of the internet is going to strictly do with monetization and ownership. Now, how does NFTs play into this? Well, you probably remember most of the projects in 2021, there was a lot of hype. People would buy pictures of JPEGs simply because it was a new technology. And people who created these projects, they could sell these pictures for 300, 400 bucks a piece and sell 5, 10,000 at a time. And almost instantly overnight, make a few million bucks, make a few $100,000. Now, the problem is most of these people just used this as a money grab to be able to go out, make some quick cash, and then retreat from the market, leaving everybody who bought their project pretty much just left holding a useless piece of code. Because that's what it is. It has nothing, well, yes, it can have something to do with the image itself, but the NFT itself is a contract. That is the value aspect of the technology itself. So where am I going with this? How does this all tie in together? Well, people can raise upwards of a few $1,000,000 by selling out a project. And then there are baby boomers looking to sell their businesses, and there's commercial real estate available at discounts. So what I'm planning on doing is I'm going to be using NFT projects to be able to purchase and acquire businesses and real estate. Very simple concept. Now, the value that I'm providing to the people buying the projects is going to be the fact that, let's say we're using a project to buy a commercial real estate property. Let's say we find an A-class apartment, beautiful property, let's say 17% cash on cash returns. That's the deal that we're looking at. But let's say we need to put up $1 million to be able to actually purchase a deal. We use the NFT to raise the $1 million. Most people, though, when they get involved with investments, the problem that people have when it comes to buying real estate, especially if they don't have a lot of money, is they may need to liquidate. And that is very difficult to do if you go through a traditional syndicator where they're requiring you to put up 6 figures to be able to participate in their investment. There's some non-accredited funds that allow you to do as low as 5,000, but it's still usually a very high entry fee compared to what most Americans have. On top of the entry fee, you don't get to just leave the deal whenever you want. You can't just say, hey, give me my 5K back. I'm good. I want out. You're stuck. So the cool thing with NFTs is you can sell your position in the project at any time to anybody who would like to buy it. Now, on top of this factor, it's a lower entry fee. They can exit whenever they'd like. The NFT will also integrate airdrops. This is going to be how we share the profits from the actual property. Essentially, what happens is when we buy that piece of real estate for the $1 million we have to put down, and we're making 17% cash on cash returns, that's 170K a year. So what we can do is every month when we're collecting that profit, we're able to put that into an account that automatically disperses the funds, the profits, to everybody who owns one of those NFTs. Now, you're able to buy an NFT that not only actually generates money, because that's the real reason most people got into it in the first place, the opportunity to make some cash, but they can exit whenever they'd like. It's a lower entry fee to some of the best investment vehicles in the world. And on top of this, the second feature that we're going to integrate, aside from airdrops, actually, I'm not going to get into it. We're gonna leave some mystery in the air for what we're doing, but yes, essentially what we're doing is we're going to share the profits with investors, and it's going to create an opportunity for people not only to invest in great assets and opportunities. We don't have it quite yet, and I don't support people going against the government. Pay your taxes, but crypto wallets, it's relatively hard to track. And I have to believe, given in real estate, there's something called a 1031 exchange, where if you sell a property for a profit, but then you buy another property, you don't have to pay taxes. I have to imagine they're going to incorporate something similar with crypto very soon, because they already can't track and they already have a hard time enforcing taxes. So imagine this. You enter into, a crypto during a bull cycle, you make 3x on your money. You put down 20K, you make 60K in the crypto. And now you want to solidify your gains before the market crashes. Well, most people, they're going to have to do one of two things. They're going to have to, sell their crypto, pay capital gains, or they're going to have to pray that the market holds and they don't, have a drastic downturn on their cash. They may be able to even transfer into another crypto, but there's still a risk associated with it, unless you're doing it into something like USDC. But I still do believe, even if we did have a crypto 1031 exchange, USDC and stablecoins, that probably would incur some type of capital gains tax. But imagine this. Instead of selling at 60K, you're able to buy an NFT or multiple NFTs, because obviously one would cost 60K, but you could buy the NFTs that are part of a project that owns a real estate property with that money. Your money is now backed by a real world asset. Your money is now making money based on the cash flow that the property produces. Your money is also growing because the principal is invested into an asset that's going to appreciate with time. And since you're not directly converting it into dollars, you're not paying taxes. A lot of benefits. So that's just an example with real estate. The other side of the business, the other side of the fund that we're going to be creating is going to give the opportunity to young people like us to be able to own businesses. So many people would love to own a business, but everybody thinks you need to start one. Again, there's over 33 million businesses, I believe, in America. You don't need to start your own one. There's plenty of that cash flow and make money today. The thing is, like I mentioned, is finding people who want to work the business, want to keep it growing, and want to manage things after the baby boomers retire. So we're going to have a side where we're essentially building a network of people who show high potential, great work ethic, and we believe they have the ability to really kill it in business, we're going to support them with our projects to be able to fund their acquisitions. They'll be able to buy businesses using the funds we generate with NFT collections. The collection will own a percentage of the business, a portion of the equity, but we're going to pretty much provide an opportunity that people don't have to work for 20, 30 years to save up and buy a business. They can just go straight into it. Not only this, but if you look at some of the best business minds from the 18th century, the Rockefellers, the Carnegies, JP Morgan, like many of these huge moguls, they didn't necessarily do anything novel. What a lot of them did was they would go become successful in an industry, and then they would buy their smaller competitors and consolidate those businesses into a super company. This is what happened with the oil companies. This is what happened with the steel companies. And I think this is going to happen again, given the fact that there is just such a high amount of businesses that are going to go on market over the next 10 years. So, for example, if there's 10 lawn care businesses in Florida that they're being sold off by baby boomers, we can buy those 10 lawn care businesses, take the best parts from each businesses, consolidate it onto one organization, and manage it with people who are in our internal group. So essentially, long-winded, maybe not the best iteration, but the point I'm trying to make is it's very plausible to be able to buy some of the best investment vehicles by raising money and sharing the profits using a decentralized automated system. That is my game plan for growing a portfolio to over $1 billion in assets. So currently, first stage is going to be simply getting the coding done to be able to actually create the smart contracts. Because once I have the smart contracts, I will then be going to influencers. Actually, no, I'm not giving out my sauce. I'm giving too much sauce. But essentially, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be creating the smart contracts, marketing the projects, selling out the projects, buying real estate, rinse, repeat, do it with businesses, consolidate, rinse, repeat, grow, scale, et cetera, et cetera. So like I said, I'm using technology, I'm using videos, I'm using social media to document the process. If you would like to see what I do with this, or if you would like to potentially invest in the projects or become one of the owners of one of those future businesses, give me a follow. Man, that just sounds so weird saying, but smash that subscribe button, like most people would say. I will be doing regular content just to kind of document, probably something more like once a week when we're starting out, and we'll scale as we enter 2025, where I plan to make a lot more noise. So that being said, hopefully this wasn't too all over the place, but stick around. It's going to be quite a ride.